Imagine if I was just like, yeah, this is my makeup look. This is a definition of trust the process, I swear. This is coming from not a professional, just a random person who has no idea what they're talking about, but I'm gonna try to recreate it with makeup that I already have, so we're trying to be resourceful. Spring is one of my favorite seasons, and I was able to recreate a very spring makeup look. It gives that bright-eyed appearance. If you want to see how I do this makeup look, definitely watch to the end of this video. I'm going to use some of the Auqhaphor. I feel like it sits on my face a little bit better when I do put on any foundation or concealer. I don't know, maybe it's just in my head, but every time I do this type of combination, I find that it just like looks better on my face. So I'm just putting it on with my finger. It kind of gives that glowy appearance underneath all the makeup. I find it does help make the makeup not look so matte. And I try not to use a ton of powder, especially it's getting into the warmer months. Kind of start in the T-zone and work my way out. So now that I have the Auqhaphor all on, use both of these. One is the light medium sheer tint in the Maybelline BB Cream Fresh. It has SPF 30 even though I do already have sunscreen on, and the other one is the same exact thing, but it's in the 130 medium deep sheer tint. I use this for the outer edges of my face, almost kind of like I'm underpainting or I'm putting on a base layer of bronzer contour. I'm going to use the darker shade first and work my way from outward to in. A little bit on the outer edges of my face. And I don't have self-tanner on, but we're gonna make it look like I'm a little bit more bronzed. Disposable makeup sponge has already been wet, so I'm just going to, which usually I don't go this high up, it's usually around the jaw, but I'm gonna put more lightness over it. It's kind of just putting a base layer, and I'm gonna work my way down, and I work my way around the jawline to kind of give it a little bit more of a bronzy effect. And it's gonna look ridiculous right now, but then when I put the lighter foundation on, I don't think it won't look as horrible, because right now it just looks really crazy. I'm just gonna put a little bit around the nose area, almost like an underpainted contour. Thankfully the sun is out, so the lighting shouldn't be terrible while I'm doing this. Like, I feel like this makeup would be really pretty for spring in general anyways. So since that's like pretty much blended out to the best of my ability, I'm gonna do more contour, but this is just the underneath that's more of a foundation base. Then I'm going in with the same exact thing, but the lighter shade, and we're gonna do towards the middle of my face and put that so it's lighter, and then it almost looks like I'm already pre-contoured, underpainted. I'm gonna take the same beauty sponge so it like blends in a little bit and it doesn't look so harsh with the light versus the more bronzy look, and then just lightly go over the eye area. I am gonna use, I think, a white concealer as my eyeshadow base. Also, you could probably put this at 2 times speed and I would probably talk normally, if not maybe like 1.5, but look, a couple breakouts like here, and I think like right here too. My skin isn't doing as horrible as it was when I was using way too much product on my face, so the application of my makeup is looking a lot better. Obviously, when your skin and how you do your skincare is better, then it reflects how you can put your makeup on. You don't have to do as many steps, so I do appreciate that. I'm gonna put this and let it kind of sit. It is the LA Girl Pro Conceal High Definition Concealer that I think I have mentioned before, and just coat the brush. Figured I'd go a little closer into while I'm doing my eye look. I'm bringing it like right there too, or it's like part of my rosacea, I don't really know. So that's like really bright, but I think once it's blended out, it won't look so jarring. So I'm kind of just doing like a rough coat of it, and then I'm gonna blend it with another brush. Obviously, it's gonna look a lot more pigmented when you're using a brush versus like a sponge. So I'm just gonna put a little bit underneath, but not fully underneath my eye. So right now it looks super patchy. Obviously, it just looks horrible, but we haven't done the blending process yet, so I gotta do that first. I didn't want to use a ton of brushes while I was doing this one, and this will get blended out once I put some eyeshadow on. But I didn't want to put a ton of powder on my eyes because I feel like with my skin being as dry as it is. So right now there's like a little bit of creasing, but again, this is just a rough base that I'm doing before I start like fully putting a lot more definition into the eye look. I just want to like blend it out so it doesn't look as harsh when I start putting most of the eye product on my eyes. I haven't put any concealer on, so I'm gonna have to fix that, but I didn't want to do my full face yet. Or it looks so shiny because I have like a light right above me, but we're gonna fix that after. This is an old makeup palette, probably doesn't need to be used if you have a better alternative, but for right now I don't have a matte white eyeshadow for whatever reason, and the only one that does kind of have that from the Profusion palette, and that's for the natural eyeshadow case palette. So it has like these colors, and one of them is like a white. Obviously this looks like it's literally been through it. I am definitely going to be using the white one. The same small brush that I was using, that was the accent shadow brush. It's like kind of creasing, but I think from blending out with the eyeshadow won't look as bad. I'm not going to bring the white eyeshadow all the way up because I don't think it needs to go all the way to my eyelid. I am going to put a little bit underneath my eyelid. This step I don't think is necessary, but do the other side. Now we're back to bright white. I'm going to go back in, just make sure it's pretty much blended out. It doesn't look too harsh. I don't know, this is like bothering me with this redness there and there. Just gonna let that sit for a second. Not like that really does anything. I'm gonna blend these out really quickly. I'm going to take one of the mini Tarte palettes that I have, and this one's the Tartelette shades in here. I'm gonna go in with Traveler, which is the lightest one in here. It's this one. I'm just gonna take the same one that I used for the white, and I'm going in with like the outer corner. It's a little bit darker than a true white shade, and then I'm gonna mix it with this one, which is more of like, I think it's the Bestie shade, just to give it a little bit of depth in the eyeshadow. So again, I'm doing it on the other side, and right now it looks horrible, but we're gonna blend it out. It gives it a little bit more depth in the eye look. Before I finish off with the eyes, I'm going to put a little bit of concealer on. I'm gonna take the same sponge. I'm just using it to blend out the rest of that concealer that I put on, to kind of clean up any of the excess that I did put on my eye area from the leftover eyeshadow. Any excess that did fall off. Again, it's supposed to be very like a lighter white base. Most people would do the eyes first. I kind of just like to do the opposite, but if you're doing heavier eye makeup, yeah, like that makes sense to do the eyes first. I am gonna go in with that smaller brush and take the cool toned one that was next to the other two that I used, and just do a slight crease or cut crease to add a little bit of definition to the eyelid. Going in with the middle one right here, going over what I just did to blend out very light cut crease. So now I have more of a defined eye look. My eyelids look a little bit more existent than what it did before. The higher you place the cut crease, the more defined your eyelid looks. So, and it still looks like bright white color. What I like to do, which I know they don't really like you doing, but putting cream or liquid over powder, but I am gonna put a little bit right here and here. I am gonna go in with a different brush. This one is the angled liner brush. Probably not the best one to pick, but it's the one that doesn't have any product on it, and I'm trying to get in like an angle to put this over, and then I think I'm gonna put a little bit of a highlight or a sparkle to the inner corners of my eyelids. I'm kind of just like patting it and not dragging it. I don't know what's going on with my eyebrow. So that like brightens the inner corner again, and I'll do the other side, and I'm just like patting it ever so slightly so it brings out that like light inner corner again. I'm just blending it back out for if there was any harsh line from putting white back onto the inner corner. I'm gonna use another Tarte palette. This is more for the face. I could probably get a white glittery one, but I think I'm just gonna use one that's more of a golden toned. This one's the Park Ave Princess. It's gonna be that one I'm gonna use. Again, I'm just gonna take the one I just used for the inner corners. I'm gonna take the highlight only in the inner corners of my eye. And I'm gonna do the other side, and I'm just gonna take some of the excess and just put it around the eyebrow area. I don't do a whole lot of highlight anymore, but for this look, I feel like I could just take the excess that I have from the brush and just put a little bit along the eyebrow, even though I haven't done the eyebrow product yet, which I'm gonna do after. I'm kind of doing all these steps backwards. Just want to do the eye look mostly before I start adding any more like too much product onto my face. I know makeup is heavily applied, especially if photos are being taken or you're going to be on camera, then you almost will do more of a heavier makeup look than you would a lighter makeup look if it was just more for like natural lighting and in person. But if you're going to be under harsh lighting, cameras are rolling, you're getting photos taken, your makeup might not show up as dramatically than it would in person. I don't know why this like one eyebrow hair just keeps like coming out. I'm also going to take this palette and use the rest for the blush contour bronzer mix. I need to get a better brush. This is just not cutting it, but I'm gonna use this one for the bronzer contour. Just gonna take the outer corner, the outer edge one, which this one, City Lights one from the Tarte palette, and I'm just going to put it in the outer corner of my face. I think just the outer edges where the shadow would hit on or along the face, and just like right here. And then I'm gonna do the other side, so very lightly, and then I just like bring it down, or you could bring it up the neck. I'm looking a lot more tan now. And then I'm gonna take the middle one, which is like that like bronzy blush color, and it's in the Happy Hour in the Park Ave Princess palette by Tarte again. Taking the same brush by E.L.F. I believe this is by E.L.F. or it's Wet n Wild. It's been taken off, so I'm not sure. And I'm only gonna put ever so slightly on because my face gets flushed in general because of my rosacea moment. I get a lot of rosacea, so I don't really need a lot of redness in my face, but I'm just gonna put it almost where I put the contour bronzer, just work it out. And right now it looks really intense. I'm just gonna put like a little bit on my nose, and the excess I'll just put around the edges of my face, just like a little bit on the nose, and then again the high points of my face. Blush brush and just blend it out. There's nothing on this brush, but I am gonna take a loose setting powder and go over all the makeup I just put on my face. Okay, clearly I'm like having rosacea come through on my nose. I'm just gonna use a brown brow pencil that I'm gonna use for also my brows as well. So I'm just gonna do my brows really quickly, but I don't really go too in depth with the brow. I kind of like to keep it as natural as possible and just fill in the sparse areas. And then I'll just clean it up since it looks pretty messy. I'm going in with some loose setting powder again with that brush blush from EcoTools and the L'Oreal Hydro Perfect Paris in the light shade of 917. Just gonna take some, swirl that around, because right now I kind of do have like a shiny-esque touch to my face because I did put the Auqhaphor underneath, so it still keeps my face not looking completely matte after putting all this powder on. And I'm sure there's a better alternative for a lot of the makeup products I'm using. I'm just using like what I have, a little bit of that white, even though you could probably just use concealer. I'm just going to blend it out. I'm bringing the excess of that powder down my neck. I'm going to just use the brow pencil just because I don't really want to deal with liquid eyeliner, and I don't think I have any, so I'm going in with like a slight wing. Personally, I don't think I have a lot of eyelid to work with. Just gonna go on the outer corners, kind of keep it like that, and then clean it up after. So I'm gonna just do the other side and then we can like fix it. It won't look as intense when you put either mascara or false lashes on. I'm just gonna put mascara on. I'm not really trying to do a full mascara look. I think that's pretty good, even though you could do that like the precise eyeliner over the eyelid. You would take like a regular concealer, but I'm gonna do white because it is like a white eye look underneath as well. I would suggest doing this before the powder, but we are apparently doing this all backwards. But I still think it would still look fine. It's just you have to deal with like if it's gonna separate or not because you're putting liquid over powder again. And I'm gonna do the other side. Be very careful when you're going underneath the eye. You could almost just like tap it, like you don't have to drag, and you shouldn't drag on your eye. The lighting makes this part like look weird, but it's the shadow. I could just like clean up eyebrow. I usually use the L'Oreal Telescopic, but I am gonna just use the Clinique Mini High Impact Mascara just because it's right here in front of me. So I'm just gonna do that really quickly. I should curl my eyelashes before. I'm just gonna curl my eyelashes with my eyelash curler with the E.L.F. eyelash curler. And since I curled that side, I'm just gonna do the eye coated with a little bit of mascara. And it could look a lot more dramatic if you did do a false lash, but I'm just gonna use the separator. I'm just gonna put the mascara on the other side. The only thing else before I do my lips, I'm just gonna add a little bit of like a faux freckle moment. Definitely not necessary, but I think it helps have that like glowy sun-kissed look, and especially if like you have imperfections like I do, like right there, like it helps to have like, I think something else there kind of like camouflaging it. Obviously this looks ridiculous, but I'm gonna take the sponge and just kind of go over it very lightly and have them blend in a little bit more. You could probably blend it in a little bit more. Either take off the excess that you have on your lips that I did, and then like I just like reapplied Auqhaphor chapstick onto my lips. Could use an actual lipstick, but for me personally, I'm just gonna use 2 lip liners that I find to be the best combo that is affordable, drugstore edition. The favorites that I've been finding recently from NYX specifically for a lip liner. I have a lot of lip liners. That's like one thing I do kind of hoard because I try to find like the perfect combo and perfect shades for my lips. Recently, I've been really liking the Soft Spoken lip liner by NYX in the matte version. And the other one, this one isn't the matte, but it's the pale pink lip liner in NYX, but it's not the matte. So the matte one I do on the outer edges of my lips to kind of give it that like lip lined shadow effect. With the one that's not matte, I put in the middle, and with chapstick underneath, it kind of gives it a glowy appearance without it looking too flat, unless you like a flat look. But I don't have lip gloss personally at the moment, so we're just gonna try to, what I do is I have the mirror here and I have them already pre-sharpened. Go too far out on pretty much just a little outer, on the outer border of my lips. I try not to go too far out. Now like right there, I did kind of overline a little too much, but it does work if you're trying to go with like a really similar look. But good rule of thumb is to kind of, if you're gonna overline, overline on the top and bottom middle parts. Outer edges you don't overline as much. I did kind of overline more than I wanted to, but it doesn't look horrible, especially with putting the other color on top of this. Right now it looks really obvious because I don't have anything really in the middle part of my lips. So I did the matte look on the outer edges, which this doesn't look horrible, but it's not like what I was going for. Then I'm gonna go in with the shinier one that's like non-matte lip liner. I'm gonna go in and do the middle part and kind of blend out what I just did, and it kind of gives like an ombre effect on my lip. I find putting a little extra product on the lips isn't horrible, especially if you want to like leave it on for like the whole day or the whole night, because it's gonna wipe off or transfer off at some point, but you could always reapply. But I just like kind of go heavy-handed on the lips, and then it kind of just like kind of flattens out later on because it's not going to stay on the whole day. You can kind of see it from the whole face out because I feel like you can't see as much when you're like super close up. And then I'm just gonna go in with the brush that I was using, the blush brush, and just kind of make sure everything is blended out. And if you mess up on like the lip liner, which sometimes I do, I'll go in and either take a little bit of concealer or like a little bit of powder and just go on the outer edges where my lip liner is and take off any of the excess or any mistake that I did. Or you could use like the small angled brush that I was using, obviously a cleaner one or a clean one, and be able to fix it that way. Could use like a little bit of lightness around the under eye as well, which really did brighten the eye, that bright eyeshadow look in my makeup. Even though I am kind of breaking out, so there is like some redness, but I don't think it doesn't look that horrible. But for me at least, I think I like the lighter color. Go back in with that matte look and just like darken the outer edges if I really wanted to, so it's not completely bright or lighter. But I think that's like pretty much it. I think this might be my go-to makeup look when I want a little bit more of a full face, because I honestly used to do light eyeshadow with my makeup look I haven't done that in a long time because I don't really go for eyeshadow, but it kind of really makes me want to do that bright eyeshadow look in my makeup. I really do like it. All the products I did use will be listed down below in the description, so definitely check that out if you are wondering specifically what I was using. I do mention it in the video, but if you need it in writing, it's definitely going to be down below in the list. And if you have gotten to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope I see you in the next video. Bye.